Yeah.
All right, you are now tuned into the Rotated Views podcast. I am your host, Jimmylee Velez. I'm here with Gabe, Goose, and Naseed, P.B.Soldier. In this episode, we have special guest, Naseed Gifted. We cover topics that range from comic books, science fiction, animation, storytelling, and much more. We wrapped the episode up with quotes from Zig Ziglar and Robert Oppenheimer. Guys, if you're new, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to download and subscribe. We drop a new episode every Tuesday morning for your listening pleasure. We want to thank everyone for sticking with us through these COVID times. This has been an interesting year, to say the least, and we're back at it with the Zoom meeting. And we want to obviously thank the creators of Zoom, because without them, this wouldn't be possible. And so just as usual, everyone's in their home offices, so bear with us if you hear, maybe a kid in the background or pets. So, but we do appreciate the love and support. Anyway, with that being said, Naseed, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. It's definitely a wonderful opportunity to be able to be on this podcast with you guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so let's jump right in. So those of us who do not know who you are and what you do, let us know.
Oh, man. So my name is Naseed Gifted. I am the creative director of PBS Media, which is Focused Black Star Media. Also, I am an educator. I am the principal of a high school in Newark, New Jersey, Malcolm X Shabazz High School, and then the writer of a sci-fi or Afrofuturism sci-fi series called P.B.Soldier. Those are some of the hats that I wear. And then on top of that, I also am the founder of a comic festival called ChemFest. So, so that's, those are the many hats that I wear, but, try to, do all those things at the same time, and, a father too. So, just make all of these things work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, how did you get started in the comic industry? Was this something that, you started as a child, or was it something you found interest later on in life?
Well, it's a combination of the two. So, for me, growing up in the 80s, Saturday morning cartoons was the big thing, right?
Yep.
It was Saturday morning cartoons, martial art flicks, and everything, and trying to emulate all of those things. So that's where the passion kind of developed. But one of the things that did happen was, as I was watching those Saturday morning cartoons, I didn't see enough representation of individuals who looked like myself and, my peers.
Sure.
So, I took that, and then, I went out and sought to do my career. So I sought my career as an engineer, fulfilled that career, then transitioned into education. It wasn't until I actually had my own children where I took my son to see Incredible Hulk. And when I took him to see Incredible Hulk, we had a conversation about superheroes. And he could name, all the superheroes at just about the top 5 that everyone could pretty much name. Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, all of those individuals. And, just to give you a little insight into my household, he knows a lot about knowledge of self and, the history of, who he is and where he comes from. So when I talked to him about, in particular, superheroes, he could not name anyone who looked like him. So initially, I got upset and then sought out on a journey to do something about it. So now all of these passions and everything that I had as a child, all of that started resurfacing and everything. So I had to go back, like I said, I was an engineer by trade and transitioned into education. So I went to school, I went to all of these different Comic Cons. I did all this research and everything to see how can you bring forth a story. And then, to this day, this was the birth of P.B.Soldier. Now, P.B.Soldier, which you can probably see in the logo right here, was actually a clothing line when we were in college. Me and a couple of my buddies, my partners, who are now my friends for life, we developed a clothing line. And the P.B.Soldier was an actual T-shirt. It wasn't until I was sitting in the house with my kids and my wife at the time. She is a flight attendant, so while I'm in the house, with the kids and everything, I started developing a whole storyline behind it, and then henceforth, we got the birth of P.B.Soldier, the comic series and everything. So that's my origin story, as they would say in the comic book industry.
Nice.
So growing up, you were into comics.
Yes.
and cartoons, obviously.
Yes.
Did you get influenced by any particular one to develop the character?
Oh yes. Well, I mean, let me tell you the titles I used to collect. I used to collect I was a big Spider-Man, X-Men, and then Black Panther. I didn't do anything DC. I watched DC on TV, Super Friends, and all that stuff, but I didn't collect those. But those were the titles that I collected, growing up. And then get into high school and everything, basketball and girls kind of replaced those passions and everything. So I put the comics to the side, donated it to my little brother who still kept all these comics to this day. But then, of course, when I got back into comics, and looked to develop my own series, pretty much started picking up titles and reading. Once again, did a lot of manga. So a lot of manga is influenced. And then actually, our character is not a superhero, so it has some historical references placed in it. And basically, we did a foreshadowing of, like what this world will look like today with the Stop and Frisk, the Espionage Act, or the Patriots Act of 2001. All of those things are kind of all infused into this political environment of P.B.Soldier.
I love that. And so talk a little bit about the premise behind it. If someone were to read it or watch P.B.Soldier, what can they expect? What's the whole plot?
Well, the whole plot, and I break it down real simply, is we're living in the near future where we live in a world where everyone's considered a terrorist. P.B.Soldier, who's one of the world's top hackers, has just been labeled one of the top terror threats in this world. It has to go underground, unofficially off of the books, to work for the newly formed world government called the Establishment. As he's getting trained as an assassin, he starts seeing visions of a life that's not of his own. It was actually his ancestors trying to hack into him while he was hacking into the world. And that's pretty much where the whole storyline kind of kicks off from, where he's trying to get an understanding of the present world and then how his past connects to what paves a pathway for the future.
So I've watched anyone who has Netflix, right? And if there's any kind of series on Netflix, it kind of you're watching one episode that then leads into the next.
Yes.
So the story is a continuum, but could be totally different, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I find that to be that's not an easy thing to do. How do you process that without being too choppy or the storyline not making sense?